Willey Widget. I'm Lionel.
I'm Liz. Sam.
And today we're going to talk about where we are at with our project and where we will be going. Next slide. For those of you who don't know or weren't in our lab, this is our client Pam. She has no use of her left arm, and she has very limited use of her wrist and her right arm. And our goal is to design something that allows her to pick objects off the ground that she may have dropped. So next slide. And then this is the basics of our original design that we were running with at the beginning of this project. And then here's the sketch. So we originally thought of having an arm brace that consists of a shin guard mounted on a PVC pipe. And that PVC pipe is connected to like an already existing apparatus that we found online. And it's activated by a trigger, so if we were to use it like just us, we would just squeeze the trigger and it would close the clamp so you could pick stuff off the ground. And we were going to rig a pulley system to the trigger so that she could use it with her wrist. And this design would have her using a horizontal wrist motion.
So then we have a second widget that we've mocked up that is very similar to the first one, but instead of a horizontal wrist motion, it actually just uses a vertical wrist motion, so she doesn't have to move as much. She has very, very limited dexterity. And this has basically a handle that she just slips her hand through, attached to a hinge that takes vertical motion and turns it into horizontal motion. This is a really bad sketch that I made at the last minute of that. And this is our actual mock-up. This is all things other than the grabber. This is all things we found in the lab. So our hinge is actually just a piece of vinyl, and it actually works. It has a great deal of friction right now that is making it a lot more difficult to pull up vertically. But that is something that we're going to address in our third widget. Next slide. You can see a little closer how we run a string through the handle, up through the PVC pipe, and finally it comes up to the handle, which works, but obviously it has a lot of friction on it.
So what we've done in terms of testing, we took the first idea that we had that used twisting her wrist inward and showed that to Pam when we met up with her and found out that we were all kind of running on little miscommunication. She doesn't actually have that motion. She has really limited motion and only can slightly move it upward, which is why we moved on to our second prototype. And that one was pretty rough. As you can tell, it was kind of just thrown together with things we had in the shop because we hadn't gone shopping for materials yet. And we wanted to just make sure that that mechanism was even going to work before we built a more refined one, which is what we're moving on to this week, because we're kind of set back a little bit with our meeting with Pam. And so we went and bought materials. We're making a much more refined version that'll be more condensed. We didn't put the brace itself on the last prototype because it has to strap to her arm because she can't hold it otherwise. So we're working on that this week.
So the modifications needed for the final build is a better arm brace, more durable grabber, better pulley system, making it more condensed so it's not heavy, lightweight, and frictionless. So we're open to any suggestions, ideas, questions.
I would suggest for cutting down the friction that you would try to apply like a pulley, sort of at all those sections where the boat makes a turn, have it wrap around the pulley instead. That way it's not just rubbing against a rough surface.
Totally. That was something that we're actually addressing, but we didn't get drawn up in time for our presentation.
Okay.
Thank you, though. That's a good thought.
What if you took the whole grabber and inverted it on the side of the trigger? That's where you incorporate the brace, so you attach the brace that hinges. That's your hinge point. You do away with all the ropes.
That is something we have not thought of. That's a really it's an interesting idea. Yeah.
So is there any way for her to get it off of herself, or does someone have to attach it every time?
That's another part of the problem that we haven't been able to mock up yet, but so far what we're thinking is we will make basically an open-ended tube which she will drive her chair up to, put her arm in, and then it'll just have like a little lip on the inside of it that she can just slide the whole thing back off. Or the same way to put it on, she'll just drive up, put her arm in it, and lift up.
Is there then some kind of mounting system you plan to put it on so that it will be stable and shorter?
Yeah.
And is it basically just gonna be like two uprights holding it, or you have that?
It'll probably be PVC mounted to a wall in her house.
Oh, okay. Good way to take it.
Is her wrist going to be able to provide enough force and enough pressure to pick up objects of any significant weight?
Once
Other than
we
a tissue.
reduce the friction. The way the mock-up is now, definitely not.
Pretty
But
much what she wants this for is to be able to pick up like her remote off the ground. It's not gonna be like a can of soup, because that was one of the first questions we asked her is how heavy of an object are you guys gonna, like, is she gonna wanna be able to pick up? And the heaviest thing that she said that she's gonna need is a remote, so a remote probably weighs what? An ounce, maybe a pound of that.
definitely not a pound.
That,
With frequently picked items, can you attach something to it to make it easier to pick?
Something we were playing with was magnetics, specifically electromagnetics, but that would add weight to the item itself. And then we've played with the idea of hooks or nets or a bunch of other things, but it requires a lot of mocking up that we haven't gotten to yet.
So I'm not sure I understand the way that it's attached to her arm exactly. Is it gonna be a solid tube that will just be that she'll just slide her arm into and then slide out, and it's not gonna have anything she has to tighten around her arm? Is that,
Basically,
okay,
it's just going to be, it will conform to the dimensions of her arm enough that just picking the thing up should keep it on her arm.
okay. And have you been able to verify that her range of motion will give you enough travel in your pulling mechanism?
Yes, she has about 2 inches of vertical travel from knuckle to knuckle raised,
Okay,
which is actually more than the prototype that we saw online needed, which was only 1 inch.
okay.
So, I mean, the system looks pretty long. Once you grab the remote or something like that, what do you do with it?
She would put it on top of a low-laying table or put it onto the foot flaps on her chair.
Mm.
That was actually her optimum thing, with that she would just pick the thing up, put it on top of her feet, put down the thing, and then pick the item up. It's not elegant, but that's what she wanted, and that's what she's gonna get.
Can she grip at all, like with her hands?
No,
Yeah,
She has
I think
no
she
grip
already
strength at
has
all.
that she holds. She has another mechanism built that she just slides her hand into, so she doesn't have any grip motion. She only has slightly up.
With a shorter grip would be more conducive.
that's, yeah.
you have to take in her wheelchair for accountability, so it needs to be at least 3 foot out.
All right,
Okay.
thank